Hi, my name is Thomas Foster and this is another episode of a multi-part tutorial for Max for Live, the tool that you can use to program your own audio effects, MIDI effects and instruments for Ableton Live. Today we want to talk about the different data formats that you have in Max, so have fun. Let's open the browser and go to Max for Live. We go to Max MIDI effects, place it on a MIDI track, and now we click here this little icon to edit our effect. And now we are in Max. We don't need this, so we erase it. The first thing we do is we make a comment, and we can do this with the letter C. And now I type init like this, because the init is already the first data format we need. Let's make everything a little bigger. Looks better now here. And what is the init? It's basically a number. To get a number box, we type I. So this is a number box. To use it, you have to go out from the edit mode. You do this by clicking with the command or control key somewhere in the background. Now I can change the number here simply by clicking on it and moving it a little bit, the number. Let's make a message box. So we go back to the edit mode by clicking with the control or command key in the background. Let's type M to get a message box. We connect the left output to the right output and magic, we see the number here. Yeah, not so special, but you see a number can be also minus and plus. What can I do with the number? I can make some math. So we could, for example, type N to create a new object. And now we type plus, and let's say plus 10 maybe is good. Okay, let's connect the left output to the left input and the left output to the right input of our message box. And if I type in now 1, I see here 11. For sure, we also can make it minus. So minus 10 is 7 minus 10 is minus 3. We can make multiplication, so something like this. Multiplication, that's what I wanted. Exactly. And you can divide something for sure. Okay. But here we start already to see the difference between an init and a float. What is the next type? Data type. So let's say here float. Okay. Because if you divide 19 with 2, what is the result? It's 9.5. But the init has no dot. Everything is rounded to the next full number without a comma. So let's make a float number box. We do this with the F. Here we are. And now we can do everything we want with a dot. It's not a comma. In Max, it's always a dot. But now you can say 1.5, which is 1,5. Okay. And here you also can divide it or say plus. Let's make plus 1. Okay. We make a message box. And now you see it's not working because 2.2 plus 1 would be 3.2, right? Because this is a init plus box. If you want to make the init plus box be able to work with dots, you have to make this number here, doesn't matter what it is, it also can be a 0 with a dot at the end. So now nothing is changing. Let's make it 1 dot. Now see the difference between the init no dot, nothing behind the dot, or a float. And for sure you can mix it, that's not a problem. But it's very important to understand the difference between the init and the float. I don't know how often I made a mistake and the whole plugin, the whole effect was not working because I forgot this dot. This can be very important. So please trust me, it's important, and try to understand the difference between an init and a float. What is the next thing we have? It's a symbol. A symbol can be a letter or a word. So something like, let's make M to create a message box. This one here, or this one here, or this one, or that one. And yes, you can connect it also to another message box. And if I click on this, I have the Foster here, and the Thomas here, and the B and the A. What can I do with this? For example, you can add something, and if I say append Foster, append says add something at the end, another word. In this case, it's Foster, and this result is Thomas Foster. Or you can say select something. Let's select Thomas. Okay, let's connect all the message boxes to the select object. This is always the argument, and that's the name of the object. And between it, there is a space. So select Thomas. We make another message box, or we make two of them because we also want to see the output on the right side. So if I send in something like the A, I click on the A, it's not Thomas, so it goes through to the right output. Same with the B, same with the Foster, but if I click on Thomas, I get here a bang. One more time, let's erase both. Click, I have here the bang telling me that somebody was sending Thomas into this input. Okay. And yeah, let's keep it like this. What else do we have? A list. What is a list? It's a combination of minimum one or two of them. So, for example, a list is Thomas Foster music production. Oh, sorry. We want to give this in a message box. Like this. Let's make it bigger so it's one line. What can I do? I can, for example, prepend something. I prepend I like. And now, check. Ah, wonderful. A list can also have numbers. So you can do it like this. Now we're sending a number in and we prepend the words I like. I like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you can mix it. You could, for example, make a list with an int like this and a float like this and some words. And now if you want to separate them, you can use an unpack object. But at the unpacked object, you have exactly to say, first is an init, then there is a float, and then there are two symbols, IFSS. Okay? Let's check this. Now we have 4 different outputs. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it's perfect like this. Let's create another example. We first need an init, then we need a float, And then we need something else, like these two symbols here. And now I can click on Thomas and Foster, and we have the different results separated. And why do we have to separate it? Maybe, for example, we want to do something with it, like this, or like that. And now you see the 6 is divided with 2, so it's 3. The 4.3 is the plus 1 is 5.3, or the same here. 1 divided with 2 is 0. What is not really right, but the really result would be a float, and this object is not able to handle a float. Otherwise, we would have to make it like this. Now we see the float result. So I think you start to understand the difference between an init, a float, a symbol, and a list. Let me show you some more things for the list, because there's something nice that you can do. At the synthesizer, we have the attack, and the attack could be 12 milliseconds. You have a decay. The decay could be, I don't know, 8. You have a sustain, and the sustain could be 31. And normally you also have a release. The release could be 100. And for sure we have more examples. So let's make it 13, 9. Oops. I'm sorry. 32, and the release is 111. Okay. Now we make a root object, and we want to root everything that is behind the word attack, everything that is behind decay, sustain, and now I don't use release. And we have 4 outputs. 1 for attack, 1 for release, decay, sustain, and 1 for the rest. Okay, let's connect all the things we have to the first input. Let's check it. Attack 12, attack 13, decay not working because we made a mistake. Decay 8, decay 9, sustain 31, 32, and this is confusing because there is already something, but normally it should be empty. If I click on release, the whole word goes through, including the word release, because it's not here, right? So that's a nice possibility to send more information over one cable and give it something like a headline to understand what the data behind it is. So you could send all the messages from a synthesizer over one cable, and you always say, the next I'm sending you is the attack. And the attack comes out here to tell the synthesizer, go to 12. The decay goes to here, to the decay, and so on. So why is this possible? Because we have a list like this that we are sending over one cable. One last thing to show you. Sometimes you don't know if the first thing is init or a symbol. So you cannot do it like this, because you don't know if the first one is this, is a symbol. So you say ZL and TH 1. The ZL is there are a lot of objects. If you go to the alt, you see all these objects, and they are basically to change or process lists. So there are a lot of things that you can do with lists. Turn it around, join two lists together, all the stuff you find here with ZL. And the first argument is telling what should it do. In this case, we want to separate one element. So in this case, it's the first element of this list. And the first element is Thomas, and the rest comes out of the right output, Foster for 3. So inits, floats, symbols, lists, but there is more. There is MSP. What is MSP? Let's click N to make a new object. We call this number. And at the end, we need this tilde. Whenever you find this tilde object at the end that you create with Alt or Option N, then it is a MSP object. And on an MSP object, we have a different kind of cable because it's a total other kind of signal. And I will explain you why. So at the moment we are sending this number here. At a normal max signal, you're sending the cable, the number just one time. So at the moment, this message box has no idea what is happening here. First, I have to activate it and change it. Now the message box receives one time the number. On an MSP cable, the signal is always there. Even if I disconnect this, now I change it, at the moment I connect it, the number is already there because it's always there. It's a signal. It's like voltage that is always running through your cable. MSP signal can be just a number or always changing number coming from a LFO, for example. Or it also could be an audio signal. You can send music over a MSP cable. If you want to create also this number, you can click here to tell the number box if it should receive or send numbers. Here I cannot change something, I can just receive. Here I have this arrow telling me you can change the number that you are sending. But yes, there's one more thing. There is jitter. What is jitter? To get a jitter object, let's use this plus object here, go to jitter, and now we open the jit playlist that we also would get if we make ngit.playlist. And now I go to the help file of this jitter playlist. I copy what is inside. All right, it's a little big. Let's make it smaller. Okay, and you see this cable looks different because on this cable we do not have audio, we do not have numbers or symbols, we can send movies. Look here. So you could make your own effect for Ableton Live where you can send movies and you can control them via MIDI or via audio or whatever you have in mind. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, we will do some of this stuff in other tutorials. But before we stop here, let me show you one more thing. I want to show you these objects here. The first thing is to create a new object. That's what we did with N. The next one is to create a message box. In the past, we did this with the letter M. The next is a comment. We did this with a C. The next is a toggle. That's something new for you. Let's create a message box to see what is coming out of the toggle. And I can, if I go out from the edit mode, I can click on it. It's sending a 1 or a 0 is it if it's off, on, off, on, off. Very important. But you also have a live toggle that looks a little bit different because all the objects basically were made for Max and not for Ableton. And then when they implemented Max in Ableton, they made all these live objects that has the perfect Ableton look. So a toggle in for live toggle looks a little bit different, but it's exactly the same. And you also can connect them like this. Yeah, what do we have here? Here we have some different kind of buttons. The normal button is sending out a bang if you click on it. And if you send a bang, the word bang into it, it's flashing for a short moment. But you also have for sure a live button. It's here. And it's doing exactly the same. Good. What else do we have? We have a tab control, so you can have 3 different words where you can change between 1, 2, and 3, and it's sending out 0, 1, and 2. And we have other types of buttons. Let's go to the next one, the number. You already saw the normal int that you get by typing an I. You already saw the float, and this is the MSP float that we also had. Let's go to the next one. You have here some sliders. There are some nice sliders. For example, the keyboard. You can have in your audio effect or MIDI effect a little keyboard, and you can click something here, or you can display the incoming MIDI notes, what is very useful. But much better for you are the live objects, because they look like everything you know from live. For example, you have a volume slider, or you have live text looking like this, like you know it from Ableton. And here you have some more objects like audio objects, where you can display incoming audio with an oscilloscope or with something like this. And you can go to images to with fpic you can have some image, so you can make something in Photoshop that you can use in your plugin. So I would say, why don't you click a little bit through these objects and experiment a little bit with everything you have here. What you always can do is hold down the Option or Alt key and click on the object to get the help file that is demonstrating, makes a demonstration how to use it. You also can go here to Open Reference to get more explanation how to use this and how it's working. So there's a lot you can do and understand just by experimenting at your own. Take time to take a closer look to all these objects, to come a little bit deeper in how to use Max MSP. But I would be happy to see you in the next tutorial. Until that time, always stay creative. Cheers.
What if finding the perfect sound loops and samples for your latest production is as easy as finding the perfect hotel for a weekend trip to Berlin, Ibiza, or Miami? Now you can. With Mutant, the new online search engine for high-quality sounds, which despite your favorite hotel are free, as we don't have to make the beds after you left. You can find everything from modern drum beats to crystal clear percussion, from deep basses, cool vintage keys, and funky brass. Just go to mutant.com, search for the sound you're looking for, listen to your search result, and then immediately download the sound files without a login, and guess what? Without a credit card. In addition to a standard text search, you can use the drop-down menus and combine them. For example, synth in 128 BPM, guitar G minor, orchestra and cinematic. So, what are you waiting for? Mutant. It's time to make music.